Hello, and welcome to the third online video for my Music Hums section. I'm Brad, for Thursday, April 16th. We're going to continue to talk about minimalism and the composers involved with it. And again, we've talked about Lamont Young, The Godfather, and then we're in this group of three: Terry Riley, Steve Reich, and Philip Glass. Terry Riley kind of holding up the fort on the West Coast. Steve Reich, again, all these guys are about the same age. He was born in 1936 in New York, and he was he became very known for being a New York composer, but he kind of spanned the continent. His parents divorced when he was very young, and he spent half of his time in New York and the other half in California. And this was also reflected in where he went to school. He went to school studying composition at Cornell University, but then went and did graduate work in composition at Mills College. And it was there that he met Terry Riley. But initially, he was very steeped again in this serial academic tradition and did a lot of work with 12-tone music. I don't think I've ever heard a piece of his 12-tone piece of Steve Reich's. But he basically threw that all over when he encountered Terry Riley's music and began working at the San Francisco Tape Music Center because he had a life-changing experience there. Because of his technical skills, he was given jobs as editing tapes. And there was a very high-profile trial involving issues of racism and police work, and not much has changed, but this is back in the 1960s. Involved a group of young kids called the Harlem Six, and they were on trial for, I believe, murder, and one of them had committed it, but the others were innocent. And Steve Reich was given something like 70 hours of tapes from the trial to edit down. And he became really intrigued by the sound of the voices. And he asked if he could have the creative rights to use some of these tapes in a piece he was doing. They said, sure. Turns out he only used about 15 seconds of one of these pieces and wrote a piece called Come Out. And I'm going to play you a little bit of it, and then I'm going to tell you about the process and how this influenced Steve Reich. Here we go. Yep.
I had to open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. I had to open the bruise up and let some of the blues blood come out to show them. Come out to show them, 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 come out.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear what's happening or not. You have to hear this in stereo. It's Reich was dubbing tapes at one point, and one of the tape recorders was running slightly faster than another, and it produced this phasing effect where suddenly they weren't in sync any longer, and you began to hear one played against the other, and you started to get this acoustic counterpoint of sorts. I'm going to run it ahead quite a bit, and you'll hear what's happening after a while. So Reich began to hear this as a kind of music. The acoustic aspects of it, he found just fascinating. He started doing manipulations to the tapes and getting all kinds of wild effects happening. Unfortunately, I can only play you little excerpts of these pieces online, because otherwise these videos would be hours long. Please go to the website and listen to this, because it's an intense experience. Because at first you're going, oh, this is really boring. But after a while, it just kind of grabs. Again, I would say meditative. Steve Reich would not, but it's a very, very powerful sort of acoustic and psychological experience. So Reich began to be enamored of this kind of process and the fact that it was a process. And he began to compose music that he called process music. And another piece that he wrote kind of along these lines while he was at Mills is a piece called Pendulum Music. And what he did was he took about 5 microphones and 5 amplifiers, plugged the mics into the amps. And you know what mic feedback is when you hold a mic up against a speaker and it goes kind of like that. Well, he adjusted the volume of the amplifiers so that the microphones would feed back when they were hanging directly over the microphones. And he suspended them on their mic cords so that they formed microphone pendulums over the speakers. And the piece was that people would grab these mics and let them start swinging back and forth so that every time they went down by the amplifier speaker, you'd hear this whoo sort of, because it would feed back when it got right over the speaker. And these pendula would kind of slowly wind down and go whoo, 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 until the mic was hanging directly over the speaker, emitting a constant tone at that point. And the piece would end by going around and unplugging all of the amplifiers one by one. So you had this process of these mics with different kind of, lengths of their pendulum, all kind of phasing against each other. And I'm going to play you some of that. It sounds like this. So they're all swinging now, and as they go over to the speaker, you hear it begin to do that really quick feedback, and they're all kind of doing it together. But now you hear, because of the differing rates of oscillation of these microphone pendulums, because the mic cables were slightly longer or shorter than each other, they're starting to differentiate. And you get to a point where it's like this. And you hear the tones, the feedback tone is longer because the microphones are now spending more time as they swing slower by the speakers until you finally get to this. And the piece will end. Yeah. Really very simple process, creating a very interesting kind of musical experience. It was also, I'd say, a multimedia experience, because part of it was you would watch these mics swinging on their pendulum, from their mic cables back and forth and producing this piece. So again, Steve Reich became, enamored of this kind of process, and he made a sort of one of his groundbreaking discoveries was that he discovered that he could get people to do this, that it didn't have to rely on electronic means. And he could have a person play one instrument and another person play a second instrument and then begin to play it out of phase by speeding up or slowing down. He began to write pieces. This is called piano phase. It's for 2 pianos, and they're playing the same thing, but one of the pianists is going to speed up a little bit relative to the other, speed up slightly relative to the other, and began to kind of do this come out to show them phasing thing. Run ahead a little bit more. So you get the idea. And, you can see why people called this music minimalism, because in some sense, it's very restricted musical materials. Here's a single melody that's just being repeated over and over again. But Reich said, no, no, no. I want you to focus on the process. I want you to hear how the timbre is evolving over time. I want you to hear the way the different phasing patterns play off each other. And that's a maximal experience for me. Maximal, minimal. At this point, like I said, they're all kind of saying, yeah, we were minimalists. That's fine. But it is really a very different sort of musical engagement, a very different way of kind of listening to this. Now, Reich did one other thing in his life that had a profound influence on the rest of his music. He got a Fulbright grant to go study African drumming techniques in Ghana, and found that they were doing some of the same kind of modular phasing kind of things that he had discovered in the tape studio. And he came back kind of filled with these ideas of how to use these instruments. And he formed his own ensemble that had a lot of, marimba percussion type instruments, and began writing for it. And this is, for my money, this is some of the best music that he's ever written. I think it's just beautiful. This is one of my Desert Island pieces. He wrote a piece called Music for 18 Musicians. The piece lasts about 70 or 80 minutes long, and it uses all of his phasing techniques. It uses these kind of modular little cells of rhythm that he found in Ghana. And I'm just going to play you a number of excerpts from it. It starts out like this. So he's going to cycle through a series of chords here. He's also writing for stringed instruments and voices and reed instruments. So it's not all just plain African drumming instruments. But again, he does an incredible job of kind of putting together this slowly evolving but really intense kind of musical passage. Here's a little later in the piece. He's getting to parts like this. Then a little later on, he'll get to a section like this. And yet another section just to show you the kind of the variety of different timbres and things he's getting to. It's like this. I just love this music. This piece and several pieces I'm going to play by Philip Glass are the reason I became a composer. It just, it hit me at a particular point in my life. I remember just watching rain drip down a window and listening to this music, and it was just an incredible experience. I hope you find as much beauty and joy as I do. Please listen to these pieces because they're absolutely wonderful. Okay, talk about Philip Glass next.